Warpugs, we're here with the Grim Kleaper, and he is going to do probably one of my favorite things ever. Creating peace with 1,000 war crimes. This confirms that the Grim Kleaper is Canadian. This absolutely confirms it. Guys, good times rhymes with war crimes. We all know this. And the Geneva suggestion does not apply here. Guys, it's Warhammer 3. God, I love Warhammer 3 playthroughs because it just reminds me of how much I suck at games like this, but at the same time, I'm trying to figure out who he's going to be playing as. I don't know. My favorite ones are the Skaven playthroughs because, yes, the boof. Anyhow, Warpugs, all of the links are going to be in the description down below. I did my first test run on Twitch and Kick. I am hoping to be doing my first live stream very soon. I will update the Discord on that as well as the main channel, so be looking for those links in the description down below. Don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, but I'm probably going to be checking out Hunter the Parenting. We will find out. Let's get into this, Warpugs. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's go.
This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Do you see those rats over there?
Yes!
I don't want to anymore. Total Warhammer has mods.
Yes!
Mods that add World War I chemical weapons,
Ooh.
steampunk mech suits, Cthulhu fish people,
Sweet.
nuclear rat blimps, and a necromancer capable of raising unlimited undead. So
Sweet.
actually, I have combined all of them to pit the empire of humankind, Karl Franz, and a steampunk Holy Roman Empire mod called Deitland against the entire world and the all-powerful necromancer Nagash. But are we really gonna purge the whole world, establish autocracy, and violate every known United Nations treaty in existence? Of course.
Why wouldn't he?
Not. That's what I have War Thunder for, the sponsor of this video. Before I made this ad, I had to ask my agent, what kind of crimes are okay? They simply responded, yes. Because when you're playing the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, free on PC, consoles, and mobile, that means fighting for upstanding countries where absolutely nothing goes wrong. With over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, there's plenty to choose from the 1920s onward. And if you're overwhelmed, don't sweat it, because sweat is oily, and you know what happens when you have oil. With in-depth customization, heavy optimization, and
anime waifus on the tanks.
3 distinct game modes for any player, you can immerse yourself in the detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and the authentic sounds of over 95 million players getting investigated for leaking confidential documents. The game is free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile, so use my link in the description for an exclusive vehicle decoration, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium access.
It's there, Warpugs.
Returning players of 6 months.
It's there.
Not now, because the IRS is on their way to claim the code first, or put me in jail for not paying taxes in over 7 years. Who knows? Thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring, and now, back to the video.
Let's go.
Franz's journey begins like most emperors. First, by getting a makeover.
Okay.
Looking out the window, noticing how the peasants are revolting again for lower taxes, and beating them into serfdom. My enemy is none other than the great Hans Frankenwerder, fighting for the right to change his last name. The College of Magic has agreed to send 1 wizard to help us out, so imagine my surprise.
1 second. My wife was looking for my Twitch handle.
When I pass the turn, and there's 5. It seems underfunding the education system has finally paid off. They may have crashed the economy, but at least I can put them to work doing something valuable.
Okay.
We could also start with Fume Core, the Deitland mod's lowest
strategically
your gunner troops. They're essentially
transferring equipment to alternate location. My brain.
Century peasant a musket, a gas mask, then telling them to fight an M1 Abrams. The army happens to have mortars, and I'd like my soldiers unbombed if possible. So it's time to use those college degrees by sending in my wizard to be shelled for 5 minutes. It's a lot easier when the other side has no ammo and you have plenty. Turn 4, and our starting province is united. Our wizards are now kleptomaniacs, and our income is negative. Karl Franz is the head of the empire, a loose collection of elector counts that have varying fealty to us. High fealty, and we can confederate them outright. Low fealty, and they'll try to secede. Our immediate goal is to unite the empire, and what better way to instill unity and peace than by declaring war on our neighbors?
Of course.
Makes a lot of money, and they're not officially an elector count, so nobody cares. Speaking of money, what if a random man walked up to you and offered you $3,000 in exchange for exposure? This seems like a great
Depends on the kind of exposure.
Deal until you realize exposure means exposure to the Chaos Gods. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, because I already took the deal. Attacking Marienburg resulted in an outnumbered field battle where we'd have to outsmart our opponents. Therefore, I lined up all my guns on the reinforcement point and fired as they entered the field. We've been in Marienburg for less than 10 minutes, and it's already devolved into chemical warfare. I never thought I'd have that kind of impact on people, but I always definitely hoped. The Marienburg docks are so lucrative, they immediately attracted a beached black arc. This is like getting casted in a major movie, except you realize the movie is Titanic and your role is as the iceberg.
Fair analogy.
At least we still have our talented Shadow Wizard, is what I would have said before he blew himself up. Each time we get an Empire provincial capital, we can appoint a lord as an elector count of that province.
Okay.
Unique items, faction-wide bonuses, and unlocking the respective elector count troop. Over the next few turns, I replaced most of our infantry with Fume Corps, then moved up to fight the Dollar Store vampire count faction above us. Peter is basically the wannabe version of Nagash, and as you can imagine, Carl is not having any of it. Setting all our gunners up in the corner to remind them to stay dead. It didn't take long to finish off Dieter, only to be greeted by refugees from Hochland. One of my mods allows us to get Empire Legendary Lords as refugees when the respective faction dies. And another adds a Legendary Lord for each elector count. That being said, there's a small bug with this. By accepting refugees, the game thinks we are declaring war on them. This lowers the fealty of every single elector count by 2 for each set of refugees we take in. And now, Sturland is also dead. Fealty in the Empire now hovers between 0 and 1. So ladies and gentlemen, let's meet our newest...
Not a problem then.
Elector counts. The new count of Sturland is Vlad von Karstein. He is perhaps most suited to rule Sturland because he has no nose. Meanwhile, Ostermark's newest count is a purple tree. Elspeth is now 2 elector counts at once. Overland is ruled by a schizophrenic guy. Hochland was actually killed by another Empire faction. And Midland has decided to adopt an entirely new form of government that doesn't even have elector counts. Let's see how that's working out for them. Fascinating. Given the crisis right now, guys, what if I had I don't know, military access so I could walk in and help?
Your life is nothing. You serve 0 purpose. You should kill yourself now.
I guess this means I have to fix it myself, starting with killing the Orc faction above my capital and reclaiming Midland to get another elector count seat. It's guarded by the modded Famir faction, powerful spellcasters, but not very mobile. Sure, they can conceal themselves in fog, but that would only matter if we were aiming. And I can confidently say, nobody in this army is. Carl...
Don't worry about it. Just shoot a volley. It'll be fine.
Carl has also unlocked a Pegasus mount, and I am bewildered it can fly with his fat ass on the saddle.
It looks difficult.
It's a good thing that he's been able to block the enemy spellcasting with his face. Hey, Carl, you okay there, buddy? This is why healing spells. For Carl, not anybody else. For an Empire soldier, being sucked into a soul vortex is an easy day on the job. Sure, we may have won the battle, but what about Nordland declaring independence? Or Overland declaring independence? Or Oystermark declaring independence? That was 1 turn ago. I'm doing my best, which makes one of us. The elector counts have non-stop suicided their armies into fortified garrisons at every available opportunity. It's like running headfirst into a brick wall, falling unconscious, waking up in the hospital, and running straight back to the same brick wall to do it again. At least I could restore Boris as Elector of Midland, because he's the only one who hasn't tried to secede, probably just because he died before getting the chance.
This normally causes a problem with succession if you're attempting secession, if you ice it.
Currently, my new plan is to get lots of Empire prestige, something we get by winning battles, and can spend on Empire decrees. The decrees themselves aren't very useful until we get enough prestige to upgrade them, which this quest battle with Franz could do. Ironic, considering it's his battle. Carl was more cosmetic than anything else. One quest battle completed, and now we have enough to upgrade. Before, Carl Franz's diplomacy skills just weren't up to par. But now he's got a new strategy. Emperor Karl Franz is widely regarded as the greatest statesman the Empire has ever known, if not the entire...
Okay.
Old world.
Boom! Boom! Yeah.
10 fealty to confederate. Now, we just do it. You know something is wrong when Throg the Troll King is more receptive to diplomacy than anyone in the Empire.
Lovely.
How Festus approves of all of our wars with the various Empire factions. Something I quickly remedied by just killing him. That
there you
leaves
go.
just Dryka and Vlad as the last non-human factions in the Empire. Dryka's army was easy to kill. Meanwhile, Vlad had rammed his army into the walls of Byzantium last turn. Annexing Elspeth gives us the entire west half of the Empire, and allows me to use another mod I have, giving me access to Elspeth's Nolan gunnery mechanic so we can upgrade gunpowder units and artillery. Nothing puts the fear of God in your enemies quite like a white woman jump scare.
Chaos. Order.
Wrong person. Unrelated to the stability of the Empire, we now have a Nurgle cult. Now slow down there, Witch Hunter. Don't be deceived by the catastrophic amounts of Nurgle corruption, because I have a plan. It might also be related to the recent appearance of the Nemesis Crown, but we'll get to that later. First,
let's go.
Vlad needs to die, and Elspeth's army of Dithgard is the perfect answer. From this point forward, Dithgard are our new standard unit. There are anti-large axe locks, short-range carbines, and shotgun blasting rifles. In World War I, Americans using trench shotguns was considered a war crime by Germany. 100 years later,
a shotgun from Germany. I'm sorry, what did they introduce us to again?
And I understand why. What I don't understand is this attack on Vertbad. I'm not surprised there's a chaos cult underneath. It's the Empire, let's face it. But I am surprised that they're helping me. All according to plan. Tzeentch, after stubbing his toe. It makes about as much sense that Vlad is backed up by his best friend, Gorbad Ironclaw. Gunpowder armies make sieges a lot easier, although lava spiders, mangler squigs, and droves of high-tier orcs and undead being shoved through the gate didn't make it totally free. Vlad can spawn tornadoes on Elspeth's dragon, and Elspeth's dragon can respond by firing a laser beam. This is called the water cycle. After we finish Vlad's faction off, he and every other vampire count faction won't truly be dead, because all the way south, Nagash slowly resurrects destroyed undead factions and confederates any that are still around. He even brought back Dieter, 500 miles away, and making the Walk of Shame. While Dieter regrets being brought back to life, Dryka regrets ever being born, as an army of Empire soldiers bursts into the forest, claims to be defending themselves, and fires 7,000 bullets into a tree. That kind of noble behavior is what earns us Karl's Deathclaw mount. Karl is so noble that when Talbecalen demanded a gift because I disrespected them, I gave them that gift.
This just says I can do what I want.
There you go.
My first act as the new ruler of Talbecalen is to address the military. Ladies and gentlemen, you're fired. If I learned anything from the Middle Ages, is you could solve any economic crisis by blaming someone else and declaring war.
There you go.
Skaven invading in the north, Vlad having the Necromancer disco party in the east, Wood Elves kidnapping people in the west, and Greenskins invading in the south. That sounds horrible, unless you live in the Empire, in which case it sounds prosperous. I had Karl move to eliminate Vlad, while Elspeth attacked Gorbad. But I immediately noticed something about the map.
What was that?
Underway. If you've ever heard of a no man's land, think of something like that, except it's the entire battlefield. Knife-wielding maniac.
Army with guns, army without guns. Who's gonna win?
Charging headfirst into mortars, bullets, and a literal tank. This is basically Gallipoli. By the time they made it to the front line, one burning head routed everyone. Gorbad is the world's smartest orc, known for his legendary tactics, such as ramming headfirst into a fort and dying, or having the shaman stand a little too still. Elspeth gunned down everything that moved in the south. Karl was sieging down Vlad's capital. It reminds me a lot of my former home city of Philadelphia. You've got the big business buildings, the local fauna, my next door neighbor, and the guys outside with guns. There's
the next door neighbor looks like he's on meth.
also a random necromancer who decided to arrive as reinforcements. I just entered the map. Why do I hear boss music? It's destroying one of the towers with mortars and realizing that maybe accuracy is important after all. I'm trying to siege a highly fortified castle with 2 stacks of infantry from Timu. They have an army of zombies, and I almost outnumber them. Fellas, gather around. I have a speech to give. Climb that wall, or I'm gonna shoot you.
There you go.
You might say these aren't melee troops. No. Not with that attitude. With the right mindset, anything can be anything. Like Karl Franz is now a battering ram. Unfortunately, it seems he's taken this to heart a little too much because he has stopped responding to orders and is stuck in the gate. Well,
sometimes you just want to get away.
Karl General gets busy aura farming in the door, our other heroes picked up the slack. My warrior priest just kept screaming about purging the Xenos and fealty to the god emperor, whatever that means. Maybe we'll understand in another 40,000 years. Regardless, it seemed to motivate everyone into point-blank shotting zombies and a bukkake party with Vlad. Given his poor performance, I equipped Carl with the Helm of Dreyska. Let's just say it's a motivational enhancer with a 2% chance every turn to get a powerful trait. We'll just ignore the other downside. Castle Drakenhof will be home to our second-to-last Elector Count, a castle rich with history, rich with culture, and most importantly, just rich. At last, people without noses are dead. That puts us at 97 Empire authority, meaning there's only a few provinces not owned by Empire factions. One of them has the Nemesis Crown, a destructive artifact that binds to a user. Not that we're gonna use it, I mean, we just want to find it so we can protect it for safety.
Don't worry about it.
But first, I need to deal with the Elector Counts. Ostland is the only seat we don't have, but Nordland and Overland are still independent. Overland, demanding I return stolen treasure? Let's fix that. Marius Lightdwarf, a man who takes advice from his horse Daisy and spends his free time slaying unicorns. He'll fit right in. He's also our newest Elector Count of Slovenia. The Elector Count of Marienburg is the former Elector Count of Hawkland. The previous Elector Count of Vizsland is the new Elector Count of Zuidenland. Nordland is alive but ruled by the Count of Sturland, and the new Count of Sturland is just some random guy. This might seem chaotic, but it...
Random guy. He's French.
At least it's not Midland. We may have nearly all the Empire territory, but we do have to defend it. First from Azag declaring war, then from Kemmler. Nagash will eventually make his way upwards towards us, so eliminating as many threats as possible will help us later. Fortunately, one of our upgraded Emperor's decrees summons a temporary army anywhere on our land. It's not a very good army, but I can respect how they tried to kill Heinrich Kemmler, lose, then fight a second battle with the garrison as reinforcements, lose again, but inflict just enough casualties for us to win the third battle. Karl von Zeiger, your service will not be forgotten. I recruited another army to defend and tried maxing out the Empire's credit card, only to find I'm not allowed to go into debt. I can't...
That's usually a bad sign. You're playing Victoria 3.
Can't print money either, because apparently that's bad for the...
What the world?
Economy. Don't believe me? Just Google Warhammer inflation. An army of all Elector State troops is basically like blindly buying a storage unit and finding its only contents is a single hobo. You then draft him into your hobo army and pay him an exposure. Thank God there's Elector Count borders, or this entire army would be eaten by zombies. We may have won most of the Empire, but it's still plagued by enemy heroes. Now there's only one way to solve rampant hero-on-hero violence, which is...
More hero-on-hero violence? Somebody with a camera yelling World Star.
Is to have one mega hero who out-violences all the others.
In
this case, it's a single witch hunter with a 100% chance to assassinate. His name, Victor Zaltzpire. Our other problem is wars from Azag in the east and Throt to the north. Nagash will come from the south, and I really don't want to be dealing with anyone else when I get to him. I know Chaos is supposed to invade us and all that, but I've seen that future, and it's definitely not a pretty one. That means we need to control all of the north and conquer everything, including the Chaos Wastes. First blood was drawn by Throt sieging our northernmost city, 3 stacks of the finest Skaven infantry, which means clan rats and Skaven slaves. Meanwhile, I had brought 3 new units, hand-mounted mortars, a squad of snipers, and Danzigers. You may have heard of a double-barrel shotgun, but what about a triple-barrel shotgun? They don't...
That's just overkill.
Carry more ammo, just more shotguns. And by my American ancestors, I can see why. Skaven are probably the only faction that rival our firepower, with artillery barrages, rattling guns, and most importantly, running 2,000 Skaven slaves headfirst into our guns no matter the casualties. Despite maybe accidentally getting my leader killed, we pulled out a win and pushed the Skaven further north. There are too far for me to chase, and the battle also pushed me into bankruptcy, so I shot 2 rats with 1 bullet by forcibly annexing this Elector Count and making him fix it for me.
There you go.
Is that, and I quote, gun ownership is more important than basic hygiene.
I know people like this.
Gentlemen, get that man some Tylenol, because that's the kind of autism we need. We
yes.
now have every single Elector Count seat, and the Empire is almost completely owned by Empire factions, except for one province of Wood Elves. According to these documents I just forged, that land is mine, and those elves are the aggressors. Partly because they're stealing my land, and partly because they're hiding the Nemesis Crown. Although I couldn't help but notice they have Empire soldiers in their army. Everybody knows the only cure for heresy is lead, and unlike our battle with the Skaven, Wood Elves are far more timid, preferring to hide and lob projectiles from the trees. Solution? What if there was no more trees? Then there's no elves occupying their city, and now 100% of the empire is human-owned, giving
Yay.
us 100% imperial authority and some insanely strong buffs. The
Woo.
economic engine of the empire is now online, and it's entirely based on tailoring guilds.
Yes!
Single-handedly propped up
Remember, clothes are the means of the future. The Supreme Store must reign supreme.
the economy with Marius Lightdorf buying clothes. Trade is also a big factor, with favorable diplomacy towards Kislev, Bretonnia, and the other wood elves we didn't kill. I somehow also discovered Cathay and their diplomatic prowess.
The Iron Dragon's assistance
Is worth $32. It doesn't help the GDP of a small country, and Carl is busy running around getting traits to make him stronger. By honoring a Grail Knight grave, we can get 15% more damage resistance, because Carl is truly the hallmark of a great man. Then we have Boris Todbringer, who has shat himself. His freshly pooped pants are actually a massive buff because it lowers enemy leadership and does passive AoE damage. He got it from visiting that Nurgle circus in the Empire. I was also going for the Nemesis crown, but then I got a notification. Scaling now has it and is declaring war. Their leader has the crown located up in Norska, but the quest to get the crown is still right there in the Empire. So I moved Carl up to the quest to see if it was still doable, and lo and behold, a greenskin army where the leader just so happens to have the Nemesis crown. It's an ambush battle, and given what our army is, it went about as well as you'd expect.
An ambush battle with guns against medieval troops. Yeah.
Granting us the Nemesis crown. This bestows a set of buffs to Carl and his army, while the downside is that generally everyone is going to hate us. As we win battles, the crown levels up, but as it gets stronger, Carl needs to fight every few turns or we'll lose it. Right now, he has the lowest level fledgling crown. Actually, let me correct that. Carl doesn't have the Nemesis crown, he has a Nemesis crown. Because scaling still has theirs. Now that's definitely not supposed to happen. The only way to solve this is a freak off. No, not with Carl Franz lubed up with baby oil, but one with a Nemesis crown versus another. The crown itself gives a little more health and damage, but mostly an AoE damage ability, plus an activated bombardment. So how did our Cheeto-looking adversary fare in a duel? Carl then proceeded to solo the entire army. The only casualties we took are because I have Hellstorm rockets, and I didn't position them very well. Our next target is naturally Wolfric, if he wasn't eaten by Throg. Another mechanic we got from confederating Elspeth was her Gardens of Moor. They basically let us build teleportation posts for Elspeth. That's not Elspeth. Hey Carl, what happened to Elspeth? I don't know. Yeah, so apparently Carl not only has 2 Nemesis crowns, but he can teleport 2. Why did we teleport to this settlement specifically? Now he's got it too. I also did the quest battle for Carl's Galmaraz weapon. It shouldn't be surprising that he beat the Wah out of the war boss and single-handedly set human-dwarf relations back 1,000 years. More damage on Carl's main weapon, although I've only really spec'd him into offense, so think...
Carl is getting more and more angry.
Fingers crossed he kills everything before it can attack. At least the wizards are pretty durable, because they've been through some shit. Oh boy, I can't wait to steal some technology. On the topic of blowing ourselves up, meet the Skaven. No, not those Skaven, these Skaven. Finding a warpstone meteor in my capital province. Now slow down there again, Mr. Witch Hunter. I know this seems like we should get rid of it, but it does increase our research rate. Now, it does generate some Skaven corruption we can reduce, but the higher the Skaven corruption, the higher the research gain. It's a good thing Skaven aren't real, and if you think they are, you should report to your nearest Witch Hunter immediately. Our next natural enemy is Arcane, Frog 2, but I needed to lure him out first. Oh, convenient army of conscripts. Can you sit over there in the ocean? My boy! Now our Mad Count Marius Lightdorf can finish Rock. One of his abilities is literally lunatic ravings.
Yay!
Move for 40 seconds. Frog charged in and got immediately mogged by my 10-hero mystery gang. You only see 5 because the other 5 are in Marius's head. By the way, just in case I'm crazy, do you also see this blue force field? I have no idea what this is, but I do know it's coming from where Nagash's capital is. He's also now considered a new hegemon, so that's probably not good. The Nemesis crown is also not helping the Empire public relations team, so I've been giving away unwanted settlements for non-aggression pacts. Bribery is a valid form of diplomacy, just like declaring war with Arbel. Arbel the Undefeated. Unfortunately, he's fighting Elspeth.
If you're Arbel the Undefeated and you get defeated, what do you call yourself?
Marvel may be dead, but the entire rest of the Chaos Horde isn't, because the very next turn, 3 Chaos armies. Although to be fair, this is like Archaon's Z team. Elspeth in a defensive siege is perhaps one of the most dopamine-inducing things in the world. She just flies around, casts Purple Sun, and glares menacingly until everyone is shot to pieces.
That
she
works.
also has our newest unit, Pyre Hulks, steampunk mech suits that look absolutely badass and fire bullets out of their fists. We're nearing turn 100, and I'm making a realization. That Refugees mod I have to gain other faction leaders works for every other faction too, and sometimes not exactly as it should, considering, for example, the Changeling is now Norskin, the same character who could disguise as anyone, which is why he's changed himself into the last thing anybody expects. The Changeling. My god, he's a genius. No, seriously, because I could not find him until the end of the battle. And of course, immediately after that, another Nagash Confederation, this time directly on our border. And if you didn't notice, Kemmler's back too. Fortunately, the Gash is busy having his backbones blown out by Grimgore. Either way, I still did the quest battle with Gotrek and Felix just in case. Wait, did they say protect Gotrek and Felix?
Yeah.
Felix's first action was to damage a settlement, fail, and kill himself.
What?
I feel like it's fairly thematic for the Empire to have both a Skaven Meteor, a Nurgle Carnival, and now a full-blown Chaos Portal. Plus 100% from the region, wow! And it only has the minor downside of playing Russian roulette. No, there's no bullets, just a 20% chance to blow up any region on the world map. Well, 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 everybody, you feeling lucky?
No.
Blew up mine. But Chaos wasn't about to let us take the entire north without some kind of fight, and sure enough, both Archaon and Festus showed up to attack Elspeth. It was made easier by our witch hunter strolling in, shooting Archaon's lieutenant, and leaving unscathed.
There you go.
Prince Ogrex actually has some real lore. He traveled with Archaon to help him get his super awesome sword, almost woke up the father of all dragon ogres, Kragnaroth the Black, to get it. Then when Archaon's sword started screaming, he stabbed Ogrex so the dragon ogre wouldn't wake up and destroy everything. Archaon then went on to destroy everything.
There you go.
Suck, Ogrex. Archaon, lord of being a dick, sieged Elspeth, bringing up the rear. Archaon just tanked through
I prefer the old lore where Archaon got kicked in the dick.
bullets and spells, while the rest of his army prayed to the Chaos Gods to become holy. Holy because we shot them a lot of times.
Yay!
Archaon got busy with the gate, only to find on the other side our big oily men ready to finish. He died, paving the way for Elspeth and the Elector Counts to steamroll through the Chaos Wastes, eliminate Throg, the Demons of Chaos, and most of our Chaos faction. Franz has consolidated the entire Empire, and he wept, for there were no more Elector Counts to summon. But that doesn't mean there isn't another Empire faction.
What?
Goku, raise your children!
Yeah, Dad, I miss you. Yeah, Dad, let's do something together.
Yes, Vegeta.
I am supreme.
One of the few Empire factions that starts all the ways away from the Empire in Cathay, and over the past 20 turns, I've been moving a hero over to his location. You see, this Unify ability doesn't confederate Elector Counts. It just confederates Empire factions. Any of them. So welcome to the Empire, Gelt. Oh my god, Balthazar Gelt has been busy. This is the Empire land I own, and this is what Gelt had. Gelt also brings his own special mechanic to us, his Colleges of Magic. We can use it to upgrade our spellcasters faction-wide, get overpowered trinkets, and cast apocalypse spells. We'll revisit those later. To do this, we spend arcane essays, and it just so happens I have 35,000.
What?
Half my mages have been exiled for using AI to write their arcane essays, and a degree from the
Somebody has been using too much ChatGPT.
College of Magic is really a professional ChatGPT prompt degree, but my only requirements are can cast Fireball and not blow self up. The second is optional. I skipped ahead a fair number of turns, so I did miss a few important events. Chaos is almost gone. I sent an ambassador to the dwarves that don't exist. This Empire fort got sieged 5 times in a row, all because ogres can't climb walls, only for them to sack it for $0, then have Carl teleport on top of them and die. Meanwhile, Altdorf has 100% Skaven corruption, and a Tolean trading company offered to buy it. Well, of course I'll sell you my city.
And it's gone.
We're at the point where Carl can easily solo army, because the AoE damage from the Nemesis Crown and Nurgle trait melts everything nearby. He is quite literally a walking Chernobyl. Gelt, on the other hand,
very nice.
This temporarily, so I could reset his skills and recruit him a much more fitting army than this trash. Recruiting one of every spellcaster in the game, fitting them with all their best spells and nearly maxed out, plus a few more other interesting instruments. Meanwhile, Elspeth was busy cleaving through the Warriors of Chaos. Gelt's upgrades to spellcasters apply to her too, and she already has good upgrades. Casting a Purple Sun Vortex costs 2 winds of magic. Overcasting it costs 1.
What?
Factoring life leeching that restores 2.5 winds of magic per cast, and these spells essentially cost negative mana, making Elspeth a one-woman doomstack who gaslights, gatekeeps, and brutal bosses her enemies into a purple vortex.
There you go.
Sieging down Archaon's capital was 47 minutes of Purple Suns, Spirit Leeches, and Fate of Bunas killing 3 defending armies. With most of Chaos gone, it was only fitting that I accidentally trespassed on Malice Darkblade's land, so he responded by declaring war and proudly sailing his Black Ark straight into an iceberg.
Good job.
Most of the Order factions, including Cathay, Bretonnia, and the High Elves. They may hate me, but they don't hate my money. We're strength rank
The elves, what can you do?
1. Nagash is strength rank 2, and rank 3 is held by Bretonnia, because Ruin has the Sword of Cain somehow, and is using it to beat in the skulls of every elf in existence. High elves,
makes sense.
Elves, wood elves, it's all the same. I don't hate you based on your skin color, I hate you because you're an elf. I also discovered and confederated Marcus Wolfheart, one of the only other Empire factions left alive. Meanwhile, Nagash to our south was getting scarier by the turn, not just because he now has 150 settlements, but because he has Vlad. Not to be mistaken with Vlad. The game is beginning to unravel a little because Nagash is somehow duplicating his legendary lords. Also, the game is no longer showing the names of lords above their army. I have no idea why. If Vlad can reproduce via mitosis, Kemmler probably can too.
Oh, that's bad.
And Dieter. I've already noticed multiple Isabellas, so that's probably not good either. That means there's only one thing we need to do. Destroy Nagash.
Yes.
There are 3 things that are a part of
Nagash has got a cloning facility.
Every Nagash is our army, and 2 of them are army abilities. Apocalyptic Swarm, reducing leadership and speed slightly, then annihilating melee attack and range. This is a mortar's range with Apocalyptic Swarm active, lasting for a few minutes during each battle. The second ability is Endless Tomb, creating a mausoleum that spawns skeletons until it's destroyed. As per the name, there is no limit to the number of skeletons. The third thing is an insane stat line on their elites. Fight them in melee and we will lose. That's partly why I brought Boris's stack of Fume Core and Death Guard to siege the settlement, running uphill through trenches to siege undead garrisons in a former dwarf city, all while being bombed by fireballs and archers.
Sounds typical of Krieg.
Then when they reach the top, Apocalyptic Swarm activates, making their attacks worthless. But you see, I have a secret move. It's called using conscripts as cannon fodder. Minus 80% of 0 is still 0. Besides, I can barely see through the swarms of scarabs anyway, so I'm not controlling the units. It's lucky we had Boris to destroy the Endless Tomb, army lossing the garrison and winning the siege. It was also high time Franz grew up from big stinky boy to big stinky lad by ditching his whole army. He just runs it alone, since every time he gets near someone, they take one whiff and die. He can even siege Nagash cities on his own, with the weird addition that he stole Gelt's Apocalypse spell from the College of Magic. It's basically a bowling ball. A really big bowling ball. Gelt himself, on the other hand, just got this really silly army that vaporizes everything instantly. And one of each spellcaster, this weird thing from a mod, and Hellstorm rockets. I may have too many heroes though, because some of the recruits transmute into goblins.
As one does.
Their movement is rather questionable. My Witch Hunter heroes, on the other hand, are completely fine. So hiring 6, then telling them to damage a city non-stop before I attack with Gelt? Walls? What walls? Gelt gives Hellstorm rockets more damage, and Elspeth's Gunnery School has a neat little upgrade for them.
What would that be?
Rockets. She also has a lesser-known second upgrade called More Rockets.
There we go.
Not to be outdone by the third upgrade, More Rockets.
Yes.
To be clear, we're not firing at the enemy. We're firing at Gelt, and it just so happens to hit the enemy. We have Gelt, Marcus Wolfheart, Elspeth, and Karl Franz, but missing one character I completely forgot about, Volkmar the Grim. He's basically our version of Pope Leo, but he starts down here, surrounded by Nagash, until I got the refugee notification that his faction died on turn 91. Volkmar fought nothing but undead in a single settlement and only now just died.
Nice.
And his reward will be an entire army of shirtless BDSM men. Sigmar's will indeed.
There you go.
Other legendary hero Marcus got busy sieging down Vlad. Vlad 2.
Vlad 2.0. Is it Vlad or Vlad the Impaler? Or Vlad the Impaled?
He realized the elite Nagash troops have a weakness, dropping a comet on their head. 1 meteor shower later, we climbed the walls and gunned down everything that moved in a choke point. As for Vlad, there are 20 soldiers between him and Marcus. There is a solution, people, and it's called a railgun. Vlad dying was one legendary lord down, but going further south revealed another, Arkan the Black. The Nagash mod gives him a new mount and juices his stats, but I figured Karl Franz alone would be enough to win with his level 5 Nemesis crown. Plus, you know, a certain spell. But there's a reason it's called the Immortal Crown, because we received an immortal ass-whooping from Arkan. Skeletons don't really have noses, so they're immune to Karl's ferociously smelly musk. Leveling everything into offense let Arkan barely eke out a win against Karl in a duel, stealing the Nemesis Crown from us. And 3 turns later, he punted that shit into the sand.
There we go.
We could no longer get it back. Karl would need a new strategy, one that involved a lot of artillery. Rocket launchers, Gatling guns, and howitzers shooting over the walls, no problem. Getting attacked in melee, the artillery crew is made of firehawks. All my rockets are only anti-infantry? Not when you have this many. Karl versus Arkan might not be favored for us, but it sure is hell not favored for him. We may have lost the Nemesis crown, but that might have been a blessing. You see, those 3 turns of Arkan holding the crown was enough to tank Nagash's relations with everyone, and they already hated him a lot. Dark Elves were fighting with Cathay, Skaven allied with High Elves, Bertonia tolerating a Slaneshi demon faction just to kill Nagash. They call him the Great Necromancer because he raised friendship from the dead. Cathay annihilated the Greenskins, and Gelt was casting spells like a man infused with 700 kilograms of pure cocaine. Activating apocalypse spells, we can throw down volcano blasts, a map-wide movement snare, and a spell that literally turns everything in an area into dust. Nagash's capital was strangely easy to break through because it turned out he was hiding on an island to the south. I sailed Karl over, but there was no way he could fight Nagash and 4 whole armies alone. Unless...
Summon the Elector Counts!
Karl, Elspeth, and Volkmar the Grim versus the armies of Nagash. The terrain wouldn't let me enter a 4th army, so it was a 3v4 with us outnumbered, and Volkmar's army is 2,280 flagellants. Naked? Check. Lubed up? Check. Unbreakable, ready to sacrifice themselves to give our reinforcing armies time to get in position? Check. Because they were fighting Nagash directly, they all die. With Volkmar...
yeah, I don't doubt that, but good God.
...himself riding around in his Pope-mobile to stall the Necromancer. Karl and Elspeth's reinforcements set up on the other side of the map, but nothing seemed like it could stop Nagash's near invulnerability to physical damage. That is, until I remembered Elspeth's Amethyst gunners have magic damage, letting us focus him down before he could cast too many spells. But even without Nagash, our front line was overwhelmed instantly, and the saving grace was artillery crew Firehawks dropping their howitzers and becoming a new front line. Karl may not have the Nemesis crown, but he's still Karl goddamn Franz.
True.
Elspeth is still our edgy queen, and Volkmar somehow can't die. We grind out the battle to a win, meaning no more Nagash.
There you go.
He revives himself years later, but that's not important. The rest of the factions were already taking all of Nagash's land, meaning that he had inadvertently ushered in an era of peace. Just not the one he might have expected. I have 2 final things to say for this video.
What's that?
I had to record the whole video twice because all the footage and the replay files got corrupted. So thank you to War Thunder for
I hate that crap.
being very understanding when I pushed the video back and the sponsorship back too. My link for the game is in the description, so if you want to check it out, don't forget to use it. To get a bonus pack for new and returning players of 6 months on PC and console only. Second, I've been getting into another game recently, one that I think all of you might really enjoy. So if you type in VLOOKUP,
hold on. Hold on. Am I pressing the right button here? Hold on. Am I pressing the right button? I don't think I'm pressing the right button. What is this? I have no idea what this is. No idea.
VLOOKUP.
Warpugs. The Kleaper. Sheer fact of the matter is, Warpugs, I like mods, I really do. But for some reason, I never feel right playing them. I never have felt right playing them. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong when I install a mod in the game. Unless I'm doing something like Bannerlord. In which case, I need the Axis mod because reasons. Reasons that I don't need to specify. Guys, when you're looking at games like this, it's just, you better have a good computer. You better have a good computer, because I don't know what computer he has where he can do this kind of stuff on turn 100, but I know my old computer would have died by turn 30, okay? My old computer would have died by turn 30 in a fire. So, congrats to him for having a computer that can actually handle that. Guys, I'm going to head out from here. Check out Grim Kleaper's links in the description down below. Check out my links as well. Thank you guys for joining me. Much appreciated, everybody, for their patience, and I'll catch you guys next time.